anyone have any beliefs about the placenta, about what they would like to do with placenta after birth? No? Let me know if I don't cover something that, that's important to you guys. So whilst you're getting to know your baby, your midwife is sort of watching for signs and things that your placenta is thinking about it's wanting to come. Normally between that 5 minutes and an hour, but again, no one gave our bodies exact timelines, so that is just averages that are given. You start getting surges again, and your placenta's going to be delivered. If the separation is delayed for some reason, they may look at what is called active management. So physiological, where your body itself just births without any sort of assistance. So it's normal for a normal birth. So if you've had a normal, straightforward, normal birth, physiological third stage is normal. So it's where your body just naturally expels the placenta. It relies on that oxytocin we talked about earlier. So what really helps the placenta come away and helps your uterus clamp down to stop bleeding is baby getting to the breast. So all those stimulation of love and bonding and everything else you're having for your baby while you're looking at it triggers oxytocin, as does nipple stimulation, so baby feeding, and that helps the placenta peel away from the wall and helps the uterus clamp down, which stops bleeding. The active management of third stage, so that is what you were talking about, that she didn't manage to give you an injection. So that isn't necessary after every birth.
I didn't know that at the time.
So
I just thought it was something that happened.
It is your choice in most circumstances. Well, it's always your choice. But in cases that you are having quite a heavy bleed, etc., they may just say, I'm going to give you that injection now. So this is important that you discuss these sorts of things with your LMC before you're actually in labour and birth, so that you have got these decisions to make. It may be necessary if you've had a large bleed during your labour, or the midwife suspects for some reason you might have a large bleed after birth. So that can be if you're severely anemic, can be one of the signs. So a midwife gives you an injection of syntocin, which is artificial oxytocin, normally into your thigh. But if you've got an IV line, and for some other reason I've been told that they can put it into there. So your cord is then instantly clamped. So baby's cord and your cord, and that's to stop much for going into baby. And after a few moments, your midwife will begin to feel your tummy and see if she can feel the placenta is beginning to come away. And then she'll use something called controlled cord traction, which is where she very carefully tugs and sort of just pulls by the cord and helps bring the placenta down and out. Syntocin, like all medicines, has benefits, but for some women, some side effects are nausea, vomiting, and some headaches. The thing with active management of third stage is you can't do delayed cord clamping. Now, I'm not too sure how many people managed to see my picture I put up tonight. Epic fail at printers. I don't know what it was printed, but it was not that picture.
We sure.
But it's so if you're having a chance to see it, do have a look on it. But it does show. So when baby's born, their whole system has got about 450 mils of blood in it. Now about 150 mils of that is sitting in the cord. So with active management, the cord is clamped pretty quickly, and so there's about a third of baby's blood supply hasn't been able to get to them. So delaying the cord, you don't actually have to clamp and cut the cord at any point. There is lotus birth, which is where the cord and the placenta are left with baby until the whole lot naturally comes away. So that can be anywhere from day 5 to 7 after birth. And normally they have a pretty little fabric sort of bag, and they salt it and all sorts of other things. each day.
There's the old handbag thing out there.
There, I was going to say, I just keep bringing handbags up for you. So that is about respecting the placenta and the cord, and it's allowing baby to choose when to lose the placenta that has supported them. So it's actually quite a really nice philosophy behind lotus birth. But most of us do clamp the cord at some point and have the placenta removed.
The dog might get it.
You really hope the dog couldn't get it.
Our dog would.
I just think I've got a massive crosshead would think that was brilliant. I actually haven't thought about that. So, yeah, they actually show if you do that delayed cord clamping, it's really, really beneficial to the baby, and it actually shows that babies have got higher iron stores than babies that had the immediate clamping at sort of 2 to 6 months.
So with this whole clamping thing, to get the extra 100 mils out of the cord, how long do you have to wait?
Pretty much you wait till it stops pulsating.
Till the actual
Cord.
Right.
Yeah, so you will see the cord, so it may be before the placenta's born, you'll see it stopping pulsating, or just as the placenta's being born, it will stop. So
And then they're getting all that's pretty good.
everything's got into them. So you'll see it goes from being really quite thick, you know, and viscous, to it sort of wilts down. And you can sort of see that all the blood has gone from it. So when you think, you know, 1/3 of the blood supply, it's actually quite a lot, and it's an amazing the health benefits that it produces for baby by doing that. I did get a message, someone, I don't know who it was, sorry, asked me about cord banking. If I have any information on that, I can, I'll put the website up. If you are looking at doing cord banking, it's a private enterprise, and I don't know enough about it other than, you know, it's a private thing. But they clamp the cord instantly so that they can get the cord blood to bank. So you're sort of preventing baby getting all this blood if that is something you want to look into.
Isn't there something new just recently that had taken the place of that?
It might be. I mean, we know.
There was something else that had come up just sort of in the last 6 months or a year or something, rather than actual banking of it was something to do with getting. Yeah, it was something. Yeah, something. It's to do with because what they get out of it. What is it? Those
Stem cells.
Stem cells.
Yeah.
It was something that might replace that to do with something out of your nose or something.
I was saying, personal, this is my personal opinion here, is having looked into it, it is a private company for profit.
Very expensive.
It's
Really, I looked into it.
very
It was like,
expensive.
and you've got to upkeep the cost over the whole life.
You've got to keep it
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
And
Keep it fragile.
there's just so many benefits to delayed cord clamping if you can do that. Obviously, if for an emergency reason, like you've had a big bleed and you do need to do active management, don't feel bad that, you know, the delay didn't happen. But if it's something you can possibly encourage and do, it's so worth it. But the stem cells that they are producing from the cord blood that they take, there is some research out there that very well watch, you know, if your child did have some genetic sort of disorder, that they were looking at using stem cells to treat, because this was their stem cells, more than likely they're already got that congenital deformity as well. Anyway, we know, we just haven't even begun to touch on how many ingredients really are in breast milk when, I shouldn't say ingredients, factors that are in there, and one very recently that they've really put a lot of research into is stem cells are in breast milk, which is pretty amazing. And randomly, because we throw it away 7 days of the month, but menstrual blood is full of stem cells, so I don't know if that's what you may have heard online. Yeah. But like I said, I mean, it's a personal, private company. If it is something you can afford and something you want to do, absolutely, I'm not talking you in or out of it. Just do make a decision about that. With the placenta too, pretty much your midwife will either, so after it's born, she'll have a look at the placenta, and what she's checking for is that it's smooth, it looks like it's all there, and there's no parts of the membrane or the placenta missing. So she's looking to make sure none of it's all ragged, because if you do have parts left behind, that can lead to infection, etc. So she's looking for that. If you have the opportunity and it's something you want to do have a look at your placenta. It really, I prior to having my own children, I thought, yeah, I'm not doing that. And they are fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And looking at the membranes, they're actually quite tough, these things that have protected your baby for all this time. But also sort of holding it up, it's quite hard to imagine how the baby fitted in there, is what I've always found. So your midwife more than likely will say, do you want to look? So if you have that opportunity, have a look at it. The options are you can take it home with you. So if you're birthed at the hospital, you can take the placenta home with you, and you can bury it at home, or if you choose to bury it. Here in Nelson, we're incredibly blessed. A group of midwives actually organised up at the centre of New Zealand. We've got a fennel planting garden. So it's blessed and everything else before they go up there. And all of us get given a native tree per one we go and plant up there. So the council is getting the centre of New Zealand replanted, but it's also a lovely place that you can go back and visit, because a lot of us think about, we don't really want to leave it in a property, especially for renting. We don't want to just leave it there. So it's actually a really nice place that we have got that opportunity. So every 6 months they open that up, that you can tinker up. So you just keep it in your freezer up until that point. Clearly labelled. Clearly labelled.
When I was living with Richard and Joe, they used to defrosted. That was bad.
Or you can put it in a pot plant. One thing about placenta planting that's really, really important is when you put your placenta into the ground, always put some dirt over it before you put the plant in. It's really, really rich. If the plant roots touch it, the tree keels over and dies, which isn't exactly the meaningful blessing we want to have from, returning these to the earth. So definitely put some dirt in first, then put the tree on. So same as in a pot plant, make sure you put a wee bit of a dirt layer before you put the tree back on top. Alternatively, your midwife can take it from your house or from the hospital, and they'll just dispose of it up through the hospital waste.
Do you know much about encapsulation and all that?
There is the other one that you can have placenta encapsulated. So, does everyone know what that is? No? So placenta encapsulation is where they dehydrate the placenta, it's then ground up and put into capsules for you to take. It has actually, once you turn the it factor off, it has got a lot of benefits. It's actually shown to reduce postnatal depression. And in many other cultures.
What happens when you run out of them? You might get hooked on them.
Pretty much. You consume, apparently whatever size your placenta is how much of that you're needing.
Oh, okay.
There's a theory behind it, but many cultures do consume the placenta after birth. And some, sorry?
The Aborigines do.
Yeah. And it's considered a really...
So if the blood has all gone to the baby, if you've done delayed cord clamping, is there much left in the placenta, like for nutritional benefit or nutritional
Not
benefit?
really.
Do you know what I mean though?
Tissue versus blood. That's in there. So the cord, they don't. They
like a liver.
They really do.
Yeah.
And
they look like it.
very much so. So they're quite smooth on the side that was attached to your uterus, and then on the other side they're quite open with the cord coming out to baby, and that side there has sort of got some veins and bits and bobs on it. But yeah, very similar to a liver, as you say, quite similar to that dog.
Animal ones.
So placenta encapsulation, if you do want to look into it some more, but baby tree services in New Zealand are the ones that do it, and they do it all hygienically and everything else, because quite obviously you want your own placenta back, not you wouldn't want to mix up all those things. So I do know that they're really good. But okay, so any questions about placenta? Well, what you want going to do with it after birth? So if it's not something you want to think about, and don't just leave it to midwife, and she will just it is just
Is there
consideration.
possibly a placebo effect that you're talking about with the fact that of depression, postnatal depression and stuff?
Placebos are very powerful.
Oh yeah, I know, but
Yeah. It's been shown. I mean, because oxytocin is that feel good.
So what they're saying is that's in the placenta.
It's in the placenta. Can increase it. It's also incredibly iron rich. So as we know, anemia leads us to tiredness, low mood, anxiety loves tiredness leaves the door open for old anxiety to come in. So there's definite research behind it, but it's more just that suddenly many cultures, like you said, the Aboriginals, Ryan, and that have always practiced this, and quite often it was thought of as a, you know, in cultures that perhaps good quality food supply wasn't available, so why would you waste something that technically is a good food source? That was sort of the thought behind why so many cultures consumed it, but then it was more research, and they went, well, actually no, it's because, you know, they knew that these reasons, and that's what increased it. So, like lots of things, suddenly now we've got studies in that to prove what, you know, many cultures and everything else have practiced for many years. And we're the only mammals that don't regularly consume our placenta. Every other mammal post-birth does consume our placenta. Yeah, even herbivores, which is, yeah, I'll say, I'll be honest, I personally haven't, but yeah, so that's completely up to you. So are we all okay with that? And I'll go and check on Jen and just give a wiggle and supper. So no questions about that? Lovely. Right, run for